welcome back to another video, and what an absolutely stunning day it is to go out for a walk and to talk about 10 more perfect albums. A lot of you seem to really enjoy the first one. I've got plenty more to add, so I figured, hell, let's get another one out. And my first pick for this one, it was a glaring omission on the first video, Slayer, Rain in Blood. Quite an obvious pick, in fact, so obvious that I didn't think to include it. But yeah, Rain in Blood is just shy of 29 minutes of thrash perfection. Wall-to-wall bangers, still heavy as fuck to this day. Starts out, of course, with Angel of Death, that ferocious opening thrash riff. Tom Araya's high-pitched squeal, which always unsettles me, but then it goes into that lower register, which is very satisfying. And of course, the lyrics dealing with the Angel of Death himself, Joseph Mengele. Pretty intense subject matter. And of course, this got the band into a whole bunch of trouble in regards to, allegations about them, etc. But anyway, the rest of the album is absolutely incendiary. Piece by Piece, Jesus Saves. Epidemic is a particular favourite of mine. I absolutely love that song. And of course, we've got the closer, Raining Blood itself, the title track. Am I the only one who thinks that this is potentially one of the first songs to have a real breakdown? You know, the section where it goes, judgin, 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 judgin. I could go on. Incredible album, barely 29 minutes in length. So easy to listen to from start to finish every time. Every song is an absolute banger. Not only is this a thrash masterpiece, this would have a huge influence on the death metal scene. A lot of the techniques and the riffs that were used on this album were, implemented later on by the death metal band. So incredibly important album, an incredibly good album still to this day. It still sounds heavy as hell, or at least it does to my ears. And yeah, that's my number one pick. Well, the first pick, not the number one pick, but it's a pick of many. My next pick is Vulgar Display of Power by, of course, Pantera. Now, this might seem like a strange one because not so many videos back, I actually chose Walk as a song that I could easily never hear again. However, my inclusion of it on that list is not because it's actually a bad song. It's one of those ones that I've just heard so many damn times, and it's not one of my favourite Pantera songs. However, in the context of the album as a whole, I've got no problem with it, and there's no denying it is an absolute banger of a song. I'm sure if I got to see Pantera live, is it really Pantera though? I have no doubt whatsoever that I'd be grooving along to this one just like everybody else. But yeah, this album is absolutely amazing. The sequencing of it is just absolutely perfect. Mouth for War sets the album up perfectly. Not only is the instrumentation of the song ferocious, but Phil's lyrics and vocals on this, I'll never forget the first time you hear him screaming revenge. Oh my God, it never fails to get me amped up. And the lyrics as well, just overcoming weakness and not giving up and just keep going and just turning negativity into positivity. So inspiring. A new level. This is probably one of the heaviest songs I'd heard at the time of getting it. I was kind of new to metal when this album came out. So when I got this album, it was just teetering on the edge of like, oh, this is a bit too heavy for me, but I absolutely adore this riff. And again, the lyrics on this are inspiring. Walk I've already mentioned, but there's no denying it fits perfectly with the album. Fucking Hostile is pure thrash fury. This Love is as dark as a ballad can get, and that great breakdown at the end, that jig, 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 ugh, dirty. Rise is another out-and-out thrash-inspired song. And of course, you've got, what's up next? Live in a Hole, Regular People, just more, both of those are kind of more in the sort of groovier vein, and all the better for it. By Demons Be Driven is probably one of my favourite songs of theirs. So damn heavy for the song, although Slaughtered from the next album takes the top place for that. Took me a while to say that. And then you have the closing track Hollow, which adds a touch of melody after the onslaught of By Demons Be Driven, before again going into a heavy breakdown sort of a section. Just an incredible album from start to finish. It still holds up to this day. This is an album that I don't necessarily listen to a hell of a lot anymore because I have heard it so damn much. But when I do listen to it, it's unquestionably an amazing album from start to finish. Absolutely love this one, which is why it's on the list. As I'm going through this list, I've realized how much of the 90s is on this, but god damn it, it's when I was really getting into metal, and fuck it, I love what I love. Next pick is Fear Factory, Demanufacture. Like I was just saying about Vulgar Display, it's an album that I don't necessarily listen to so much anymore. Demanufacture I listen to all the time still. All of these songs are included in multiple playlists that I use for working out. This was Fear Factory just really starting to peak. I mean, of course, the next album, Obsolete, is an absolute banger as well, and I love many of their later albums, but at the time that this album came out, it was still very fresh. We'd never really heard anything like this before. The syncopated instrumentation was just absolutely relentless. You had Burton C. Bell with his clean singing and then going into his death growls, switching between them effortlessly, and it just sounded so damn good, so copied now, it's unbelievable. It really was new back then, and this album was just a breath of fresh air. It was absolutely amazing. It still holds up now. The energy on this album is just unquestionable. The opening track and the title track, Demanufacture, is a perfect example of that, just heavy as all hell. Self-Biased Resistor is still one of my favourite songs by there. Zero Signal is amazing. I really adore the instrumental section in this song when it really highlights Dino's ferocious rhythm playing. Incredibly underrated guitar player in my eyes. Replica's a classic. New Breed is just heavy as fuck. You know, you can imagine a swarm of Terminators just prowling the landscape. Is the New Breed the Terminators or the Resistance? I can't remember now. They do a great cover of Dog Day Sunrise, the Head of David song, which of course featured Justin Broadrick from Godflesh. Body Hammer is pretty much my favourite riff of all time. I can't believe that I missed that one off of my perfect workout songs. That was a ridiculous omission by me. Flashpoint's amazing. HK, Hunter Killer, never fails to get my blood moving. I love that. I love when it all sort of calms down in the middle and you've just got that ominous bass going, and then the riff kicks back in again and it's just, oh, fucking great. Piss Christ is heavy as fuck, and A Therapy for Pain just really sees the album out nicely. It's just an absolutely perfect album. I never get tired of this album, which is why it's on here. My next pick is Down with Nola. Unquestionably their best album. I mean, Down 2 had some great stuff on there, as did Down 3, but they never quite captured the magic that they did on this first album. I think a lot of it was to do with the fact that when they were writing these songs, nobody knew what they were doing. They were just kind of getting together and jamming, and you know, it wasn't until later that they decided to put it out, but god damn, this album is so damn good. Temptation's Wing, such a great goddamn opener. Lifer. Lifer, such a fucking great song. I'm not going to go through every song on all of these again now. I think it's, otherwise we're going to be here all fucking day. But I mean, what we've got, Hell the Leaf, Underneath Everything, Eyes of the South. Oh my god, I love the way we got that. I love the way we have that great bass intro, and then all the other guys join in, and it just builds up and then explodes. Fucking great. Jail is a real trippy song. I like that kind of a psychedelic, trippy vibe to it. Of course, we got Stone the Crow, Losing All. I missed out Losing All. Stone the Crow, that was the first song I heard. I'm sure it was for many because it was the video. People started hearing of this project that Phil was doing outside of Pantera. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, cool. This is actually really different. Bury Me in Smoke is a perfect closer. And in fact, they still close most of their shows with this song. Not only that, they quite often get guest musicians from other bands, especially when they're playing at festivals, to join them on stage to jam out on this one. I've seen Down live quite a few times over the years, and it's always been a good time. And this album is just perfect. Like I said, they have done other great stuff. They've certainly done other really great songs, but they never quite nailed it like they did on this album. Absolutely perfect from start to finish. Incredible album. Next up, my first hardcore pick for this one, and this is an obvious one, I suppose, but Sick of It All, Scratch the Surface. There are quite a few albums of Sick of It All that I could have chosen. They're a remarkably consistent band, and to be fair, I think that their latest albums are just as impressive as a lot of their older stuff. They're one of those bands who just continues to put out really energetic, inspiring albums. I love all of their stuff. And it sounds like Lou is doing well as well with his recovery from throat cancer. So I'm really, really hoping that we're going to get some new material from them at some point. And I really hope to get to see them live, because I'll definitely be going to check them out whenever they tour the UK next. That'd be amazing. Anyway, Scratch the Surface, that's what I'm here to talk about. Get the double whammy of No Cure and Insurrection starting things out with a blast. Consume is up next. Probably one of my favourite Sick of It All songs ever. That sledgehammer bass line from Craig Satari that starts things off before everybody else joins in. Oh my God, so damn good. Who Sets the Rules, Goatless, and of course Step Down. Who can forget that video? It's really just an ode to hardcore, and well, especially the NYHC scene. Maladjusted is packed full of attitude. The title track itself is just, I think this was the first song I heard of theirs. I've still got the EP. Scratch the Surface, Consume. They got a great cover of Borstal Breakout, and the last track was called Straight Ahead. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about the EP, which was just as great, but the album. I could go through the rest of the songs, but this is just a perfect hardcore album from start to finish. This is my first real introduction to hardcore, I guess. This album, along with Biohazard, whom we might be seeing later, were my real introduction to hardcore all those years ago. And this is an album that I never tire of. It's just perfect from start to finish. Great album. My next pick is White Zombie with La Sexorcisto. I love this album, and I still love it to this day. I was listening to it only a couple of days back, and it's just a real roller coaster, this one. I love the more funky riffs on it. I mean, Astro Creep 2000 is an amazing album as well. It's much heavier. It's much more in the industrial kind of vein. This album is just perfect. Even the interlude pieces, they work because they're so trippy and weird that they're just amazing. Welcome to Planet Motherfucker / Psychoholic Slag is a great way to start an album. I always loved Rob's vocals on this one. The lyrics on them, they're just crazy. I remember trying to learn these when I first got the album, and trying to sing along to it. It's such a great one. These are embedded in my head now as well. It's amazing. Of course, you have Thunderkiss 65 and Black Sunshine, the singles, which are great. I mean, Thunderkiss is such a great riff. Black Sunshine features Iggy Pop doing his narration at the end. It's just such a, I don't know, I kind of wish they continued in this vein in a way. As much as I love Astro Creep, it's there's just something special about this album. Soul Crusher is one of my favorites. I Am Legend, I love that clean introduction that they've got in there that builds up slowly. Thrust is a great song. Warp Asylum, the closing track, is just perfect. I love this album. I absolutely adore this album. I always have, I always will, and it's one that I'll often just listen to this as a whole. Do you know what I mean? If I fancy listening to some White Zombie, I'll just put this album on its entirety. It's just amazing. Never tire of it. Incredible. My next pick is another hardcore album, and I subtly may have referenced them earlier, but Biohazard with Urban Discipline. Now, to be fair, I could actually choose any of the first 4 albums. The first album, self-titled, is an incredible album. I remember not really liking it too much when I first got it. So I bought Urban Discipline, then went out and got that one, and I guess I wasn't into that's a real hardcore album, but I've really come to love that one over the years. It's an amazing album. State of the World Address, of course, is almost like a prog hardcore album. So much going on that album. It's just Urban Discipline, The State of the World, it was very, very close between which one of these I was going to choose. But I think Urban Discipline has a special place in my heart because it was the first one that I heard. I think it's also worth pointing out Mataleo, their fourth album, and the first one that didn't feature Bobby on guitar anymore. They kicked him out of the band because he wasn't in a good place. That's a great album. It's a very, very underrated album. I think that's another perfect one. I don't think there's a bad song on that album either, to be honest. But it's not to the standard of the first three, quite. Starts out with Chamber Spins 3. Of course, you've got Punishment. Who can forget the video to that? I think how many heavy bands have kind of replicated that video since it came out. Not only that, that video is a who's who of the bloody hell, the New York hardcore scene of the time. Shades of Grey, Business, black and white and red all over that opening riff. I remember being hooked on that one instantly as soon as I heard it. That was one of those ones, as soon as I heard that, it's like, I'm learning that. Got the guitar out and just worked that riff out. So damn good, so damn catchy. Disease, the title track itself, is an absolute banger. Loss, of course, talks about the friends that they've lost over the years in the streets that they were growing up in. I think Biohazard, much like Sepultura, are one of those bands that got so much respect because the music was very hard and aggressive, but it also reflected the lives that they were leading. So there's an authenticity that just can't be ignored for bands like this. They re-record a couple of the songs from the first album, Wrong Side of the Tracks and Hold My Own. There's also an incredible cover of Bad Religion's We're Only Gonna Die From Our Own Arrogance. Damn, that's a good song. Such a good cover. Actually, that one should have been on my cover songs that are better than the original, because it smokes the original. I love Bad Religion, but this version is just amazing. Mistaken Identity, Tears of Blood. Such a damn good album. I've been listening to this one for years. Was it 92 that this one came out? Might have been 93 maybe. But I've been listening to all that time and I just never tire of it. And it's great to see the band back. And I know that they're in the studio now recording a new album. I'm really curious to see what they come out with, because they seem to have a fire that they haven't had in a long time, and it's great to see them back. Biohazard, Urban Discipline, fucking amazing album. I was just talking about authenticity in music, and I specifically mentioned Sepultura because my next pick is Sepultura with Chaos AD. I know that there are a lot of people out there who might choose Arise as their perfect album for Sepultura. That is also a fucking incredible album, an absolute banger from start to finish. But for me, Chaos AD just beats it out, because it's the first album of theirs that I heard and it holds a special place in my heart. And I love groove. I love thrash. I love heavy, fast music, but I also love the slower, sludgier, groove-laden stuff that we hear on Chaos AD. So I was getting a bit carried away by the view here. Fuck me. I love this place. But this album is just perfection for me. I love every part of it. You've got Refuse Resist, of course, starting out the anthem of fighting back. The first song that I ever heard from Sepultura was Territory. I got the single for it. I knew that there was a lot of stuff being written about them at the time in magazines, so I ended up buying it. Sorry, I'm just trying to navigate this goddamn downward bit. It's quite slippery. I was immediately attracted to this song primarily because of Igor. What he was doing on behind the kit on this one is just, oh my god, so tribal, so primal in many ways. It just spoke to me on some level. Slave New World, collaboration with Evan Seinfeld, again from Biohazard. Amen's a trippy song. Then you got Cacahoas, I think it's pronounced, I'm not sure. Propaganda has one of the best breakdowns ever. This album features a lot of, I believe it's called the panic chord. You know, those really high-pitched, dissonant. No, that was terrible. But a lot of that features on this album, and it really kind of unsettles you and gets you in this state of alarm almost, and it's just all over the album and it works perfectly. Biotech is Godzilla. Of course, you had Jello Biafra, I think, who wrote the lyrics from this. Incredible song. Nomad is quite a underappreciated song, I think. A real sludgy stomper of a song. And we've got We Who Are Not As Others is trippy as all hell. Manifest is amazing. This is a song that was on my playlist for, you know, working out to. Just a song about a prison riot. And only Sepultura could do a song like this as well. They do a fantastic cover of New Model Army's The Hunt, and Clenched Fist is a great way to end the album. It's just a stunning album. I don't know, I miss these days so much. There's something, I guess it's like, you know, you remember so much the albums that you were listening to when you were a kid. I love a lot of new music, I really do. I'm listening to new music all the time. But there's just something special about these albums because they're steeped in my history. And this is, you know, the early 90s was an incredible time for metal music. It really was. And this album is absolutely no exception. Perfect album, Sepultura, Chaos AD. Okay, next up, we're moving forward a bit now to 2000, was it? Or Rammstein with Mutter. Great album. I like a lot of Rammstein stuff. I gotta admit, the later albums I've not enjoyed as much as the earlier stuff. I think Riser Riser was an amazing album. Rosenrow was a very underappreciated album as well. That had some real bangers on it. What's it? East. The other one that had some great songs on it as well. Anyway, I'm talking about Mutter, for fuck's sake. I love every song on this album. Starts out with Mein Herz brennt, which is kind of their version of Zeppelin's Kashmir. Really dramatic. Really dramatic song, full of heavy riffs, and Till Lindeman's baritone vocal along with this orchestration, really dramatic orchestration that just works. Links 2, 3, 4 has this militaristic vibe. Well, a lot of Rammstein does, to be honest. Sona is my favourite song of theirs. First song of theirs that I heard. I got a Metal Hammer, I got a copy of Metal Hammer, and it came with a VHS sampler with a bunch of videos on it. And Sona was on there, and I loved it immediately. I mean, the video is amazing, but the song is just so damn good. So heavy, but so melodic. Amazing song. Ishville is an amazing song. Fire Freu. The title track itself, Mutter, meaning mother, is a song that is strangely emotional. I found with Rammstein a lot of times I don't actually like to know what the songs are about in many ways, because thoughts. A lot of times when I'm listening to their music, it's almost like I'm creating my own movie in my head. And quite a lot of times, as poetic as a lot of Till's words are, I often find when I find out the meanings from them, I'm a little bit disappointed in many ways. But I think that's more because I've listened to so many of them without knowing what they're about, that I kind of conjure up my own imagery and you know, interpretation of what the lyrics might be. So this is a strangely emotional one, this one for me. Spiel here and Zwitter are amazing songs. Rein Raus is fucking heavy as fuck. Stomping, industrial, fucking nasty riff. And then Adios and Nebel. Perfect. Fuck's sake, trying to descend again. Trying to talk about music and I'm trying not to break my fucking neck. You'd like that, wouldn't you? Sons of bitches. Mutter, my pick for Rammstein. I like a lot of their music, and as I said earlier, I think Riser Riser is a pretty close contender for a perfect album as well. I think that's an incredible album, but Mutter has to be my pick. Absolutely awesome album from start to finish. And my final pick for this video, though there will be more, Alice in Chains, Dirt. Yes, that's right, even the interlude pieces, I don't mind. Of course, I wouldn't choose to listen to them and any of them on their own, but within the context of the album, it works fine. Is it Iron Gland? Strange one, but, you know, I'm not going to let it detract from this album. Of course, you have the opening track, Them Bones, just hammers straight into it with that riff, that undeniable, amazing riff. And Lane Staley's incredible vocals, as well as Jerry Cantrell, to be fair. He doesn't get enough credit, as the harmonising between those two is what made the band work. And they still do pretty good stuff with William DuVall. Damn That River, Rain When I Die, Down in a Hole is such a... oh man. I remember listening to this when I was 16, something like that, and going through all the depression that a 16-year-old often goes through. Now, I know that Down in the Hole is not about depression per se, it's about addiction and descent into all of that side of things, but it definitely goes along with depression as well. So this song really hit me quite hard when I was younger. In fact, it did, you know, the whole album did. I've mentioned this on previous videos, but this is an album that actually, for me, gets tougher to listen to as I get older because of my own life experiences. I've had my own issues with addictions, and I certainly know a hell of a lot of people. Some of them aren't here anymore, and because of that, this is, knowing the subject matter of this album, it's a tough listen, but it's still a perfect album. It's still one that I listen to often from start to finish. It's a very emotional album. One of the few times I allow myself to feel emotion. Sick Man's a trippy song. Then you've got Rooster, which is Jerry's ode to his father, who served in Vietnam. An incredible song. Junkhead's a great song. The title track itself is... the lyrics on this one is just, they get me every single time. I love the opening riff on Godsmack, and of course Lane's strange vocal delivery on it. I could have done that better. The often referred to as untitled track, or its real name, Iron Gland. I suppose technically this album shouldn't be on here, but I mean, it's an interlude piece, so I'm gonna let it slide for this one. It's kind of like, this technically this is a skip, but I can quite often just listen to it through with the within the context of the album. So I was getting distracted then. There were a load of rabbits running around, which is kind of fun. Hate to Feel, Angry Chair, and of course Wood. What an incredible song. What an absolutely amazing song. Starts out with that great bass line, and probably one of my favourite Alice in Chains songs. Just absolutely insanely good. Amazing album from start to finish, including, you know, with Iron Gland. I've come to the end of the video, and I'm now just looking at this. I should mention that it's January the 3rd, and I'm actually off for a week. I booked the first week off because I'm smart like that. And I come out to film this video on a day like this, talking about perfect music, perfect albums on a perfect day in perfect landscape. Pretty damn good. Having said that, there's some fucking idiot chatting on their phone. Mind you, they're probably saying there's some dickhead talking to a camera, shouting his mouth off, so touche. But that'll do anyway. That's this second list of perfect albums. If enough people are interested in this video, then I'll do a third one quite easily. I've got shitloads of albums I can talk about. But I've got quite a lot of stuff coming up. I've got a couple of album rankings for you. So I've got my Queen album ranking will be coming out. I know a lot of people were against that one, but all of you voted for it, and Queen came out on top. After that, I'm going to be doing Strapping Young Lad. I will be doing a Crowbar album ranking in March for reasons that will become apparent then. And what else have I got? I've got a load of more top 10s, and hopefully we're going to start getting some albums coming out this year that I'm actually intrigued enough to do reviews for, because the reviews take a lot of time to do. So I'm kind of not just gonna review anything and everything. I'm gonna sort of pick and choose what I want to do. So, but hopefully we'll start getting some decent albums coming out this year soon as well. So that would be great to get some more actual album reviews going on. But yeah, that'll do. I'm gonna go and enjoy this. Look at it again. Just I'll let you. Well, apart from me sniffing. It's not so nice, is it? Yeah, I'm going to go and walk over that now. It's nice, isn't it? Enjoy your work.